All right, so there are three methods to solve systems of equations that you're going to learn this year. There's more, but there's three that you're learning this year. You actually learned them all last year. Graphing, right? You graph one line, graph the other line, and hopefully they land on a point that's right on the corner of a grid. But a lot of times they don't. So therefore, it's easier to use algebraic methods. So substitution, you now know. We did that for the last 2 days. Now we're going to do elimination. Sometimes substitution is unbelievably hard to do, right? Sometimes it's the easiest way. Sometimes elimination is easier. And to me, elimination is a very magical approach. It's really magical because I have to rethink through why it works every year when I teach this. And I haven't thought it through yet. And that's okay. I like that it works. I like the magic of it. Notice this. Notice that there's no x equals or y equals. Do you agree with me? Mm-hmm. And it would not be that easy to turn these into x equals or y equals. It'd be okay, it'd be possible, but it just would be a little harder because none of them are just x all by themselves or y all by themselves. I'd have to move something over and then I'd have to divide by the number in front of the x or in front of the y. That's just like too many steps for me. And so I'm looking at these and I'm saying, okay, they're both in standard form. Remember, standard has your x and y on your left side, and then you have an equals, a number on the right side, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at the numbers in front of the x. I have a -3 and I have a 2. Okay, those don't really, they're not the same numbers at all. Now I'm going to look in front of the y's. I have a +3 and a -3. Well, that's interesting. What if I added these two equations together? What would happen? Let's just try it. I'm going to just draw a line under here and add this. And in one quick move, you're going to see something really crazy. What happens when I add these two equations together? What happens to the y's?
Oh, they cancel out.
They cancel out. They are eliminated. That's why they call this the elimination method. Just by adding these together, these two equations, these cross out. So all I have left are x's. So I have -3x's plus 2x's. What would that give me? -x. And then equals -4. And then what would I do to turn them both positive? Divide by a -1, right? So that gives me +x is equal to +4. Okay? Look at that. In one move, I just found my x. Yep. Pretty fancy, right? Pretty awesome, pretty magical, I think. Right? And much easier in this case than the substitution method would have been. Much, much easier. Right? And so now, though, we got to find our y.
Yeah, but you won't.
And you can choose either of these two equations to find your y. Just choose the easier of the two, whichever one looks easier to you.
Would you always give us like the same y's or x's?
No. Good question. Good question. But for tonight's homework, you're going to either have them like this. One is going to be a positive, like say +3, and the next one will be, underneath it will be a -3. And that means you can just add it, right? But okay, so let's just do a couple more, one more like this, and then I'm going to show you the one type that you have to adjust a little bit, okay? Right? But let's just, the answer to y, you just figure it out. You just say, okay, I think I like this one better. 2x, so 2 times x, 2 times 4, minus 3y is equal to -1. So 8 minus 3y is equal to -1. Subtract 8, subtract 8. -3y is equal to -9. Divide by -3, y is equal to 3. Okay, so I know x is 4 and y is 3. Pretty easy, right? Right? Pretty easy. And if I gave you, let's say I gave you this one. Let's say I gave you, let me think. Sure, why not? We'll make it look hard. So that's -5. Multiply that by 6. Okay, minus 30x. This is number 2. minus 30x, what am I doing? Plus 6y equals negative 12. And then I'm going to do negative 3x plus 6y. Oh, hang on. That's okay. This is the other kind. Okay, equals, that's fine. We'll just do it right away. We'll just jump right into it. Yeah, that's right. All right. Notice over here, let's just look at this one more time. I looked at the numbers in front of the x's and they were clearly not the same number. So I'm not going to look at that for now. I'm going to go over to the y's. They're the same number and the signs are opposite. That's good because when I add them together, right, then these are eliminated, right? Now, what happens over here though? I'm going to look at this. Negative 30 and negative 3, not the same number, right? But that's a 6y and that's a 6y, so I could just add them together.
No, you can subtract
Oh,
them.
shoot. Right, that would give me a 12y. So you could subtract them. That's one way to think of it. Or another way is, the trouble with subtracting, it's totally illegal and that's one way they do things. But then you have to remember every sign changes when you subtract, right? So what I sometimes do is I just say, okay, let's make one of them multiply it by a negative 1. Right? Does that make sense?
That makes it
And then
positive.
that way everything changes sign in that equation, right? So suddenly I have positive 3x minus 6y equals positive 12. Right? Does that make sense? I just changed, all these signs had to change because I'm multiplying it by negative 1. All right, now I'm going to rewrite this one underneath it. Negative 30x plus 6y equals negative 12. You see what I did? I just rewrote that one here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Got it? You know this well. Okay, that's fine. All right, so then, now I can just add them together. I've got negative 30 plus 3, that's negative 27x, right? The y's cross out, right? Equals 0. Divide by negative 27, x is 0. And then y is you substituted in, right? Do you see what I mean? So when you set them up, if the numbers are the same and the signs are opposite, you can immediately add the equation. Did you get that, Oliver? Really? For sure? You got it? You totally with me? Okay? If the numbers are the same, the signs are the same, you've got to multiply one of them by negative 1, which basically means changing every sign in one of the equations to the opposite sign.
Gary,
Then you can add them, yes.
did you find y in the one you
And
changed?
so to find y,
In the one you changed?
so to find y, I would choose this one. But I would not use this, well actually,
Why?
you can, as long as you know you did this one right,
Yeah.
right? That's the key. Because it's always safer to go back to one of the original problems. Do you know why? Because if you manipulate one of the originals and you didn't do it right, then it's going to be wrong, right? But let's assume you did it right. Then you could do that. You could say 3 times 0, right? 3 times 0, which is 0, whatever. Minus 6y is equal to 12. Divide by negative 6. Y is equal to negative 2. So you say y is negative 2. Pretty easy, right? See what I mean? So the homework tonight is going to have, there's a little more homework than normal because I want you to be prepared. Everything that's on this it will be on the quiz tomorrow, okay?
Then I'll do it tomorrow?
And it's all due tomorrow. A lot of you guys are staying for tutoring, so you'll have plenty of time to do it, right? The first 4 are like these. The next 2 are like these, where you have to multiply one of them by a negative. And then there's some practicing 2, I think different ones, where you have 2 or 3 using substitution method to practice that again. And there's absolute value. Remember absolute values?
Yeah.
You're going to have to give me 2 answers, right? And the last one is points, well, is that the last? Yeah. Oh no, then there's points love form, writing an equation. And then quadratic trinomials, factoring quadratic trinomials, remember that? Okay, so here it is.